Morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Iron Dependency, right here on 95.5 FM, live on the Iron Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you have acquainted yourself with our new time. We have our regulars locked on. If you're listening on I-95.5, on Facebook, on YouTube, good morning to you.
And Cameron is with us here this morning.
Yes, good morning,
Cameron.
Garth and Natasha.
And appropriately dressed, I
Yes.
must say, as well.
Yes,
in his
well,
orange.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I apologize for forgot to pick up my orange yesterday.
That's
It's been running.
I'm left out in the orange.
Yeah, is the color?
It's the color for the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence,
Really?
which started on the 25th of November.
Okay.
And that is the underlying subject of our show this morning. We speak to a survivor of gender-based violence.
Okay. Great.
Yes, we'll be hooking up with Miss Cavelle Mills in a while. And it's, of course, our ongoing support for this issue. And we will keep doing it. There are some people who have a problem with victims speaking out. We'll deal with that later on. We have some stuff in the lineup for you, including condolences we offer to the passing of that prison officer. We have his picture. We'll show you who he is. You may heard about it, but the prison civil have lost another soul. And there's a kind of violence too that we really need to try and understand why it happens. And of course, I took a picture yesterday of a hardware
Yes.
in West Trinidad, and you all would not believe, with all the information that's going out there and what's happening and the new variant and all that, if you saw the state of this hardware. We'll show you. And yet you wonder, when restrictions are placed and things happen, we cannot have it both ways, people, but we'll deal with that. Let's deal with the matter at hand this morning, which is 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And to explain it and to keep it in context, Natasha will introduce this first clip that we'll play for you.
Yes, this is the message from the UN, the Executive Director of UN Women. Her name is Seema Bahus. And this was her message on the 25th of November, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and the start of the 16 days of activism, which ends on the 10th of December, which is Human Rights Day. So throughout these 16 days, all of the organizations and agencies that are working to eliminate violence against women and girls will be active, wearing orange and sending that message. So,
And of course, we include men in that lineup too as well.
of course, because men are very
Yes.
important to the conversation, and we welcome your input and your contribution to end this scourge that women and girls and men and boys as well suffer all over the world.
Can't forget that. Can't forget the men. There are men who are being abused as well, and little boys.
Yes.
Little boys.
So let's go
Let's
to
go
the
to that
message. The
message,
message
yes.
from Seema Bahus.
Today is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Here at the United Nations and across the world, we are celebrating those who are working to protect women and girls and defend their human rights. And we welcome new partners, governments, organizations, institutions, community groups, people everywhere to join us. Raise your voices and work together to transform lives, not only during the 16 days of activism, but every day. Violence against women is a global crisis. In all of our own neighborhoods, there are women and girls living in danger. Around the world, conflict, climate-related natural disasters, food insecurity, and human rights violations are exacerbating violence against women. More than 70% of women have experienced gender-based violence in some crisis settings. And in countries, both rich and poor, gender prejudice has fueled acts of violence toward women and girls. Violence against women often goes unreported, silenced by stigma, shame, or fear of the perpetrators, and fear of a justice system that does not work for women. The COVID-19 pandemic, with all its isolation and distancing, has enabled unseen violence, a second shadow pandemic against women and girls. Where they often found themselves in lockdown with their abusers. In all corners of the world, helplines for violence against women saw an increase in reports. The human rights of women, including the right to security, dignity, equality, and justice, are core principles of international law. And we know that the leadership and safety of women in all their diversity plays a vital role in economic progress, community welfare, children's health and education, and more. All human life benefits when women's human rights are upheld, and we all suffer when those rights are abused. But there is hope. In recent years, much has been achieved to prevent and reduce violence against women and girls. The challenge now is to expand global efforts and make a difference in more lives. We must ensure that essential services are available and accessible to women of all ages. We need to support environments, online and off, in which women can participate safely in decision-making. New opportunities are opening. Last summer, as part of a $40 billion commitment to the women and girls of the world, the Generation Equality Forum launched the Action Coalition on Gender-Based Violence. The coalition brings together a wide array of women's groups and others, youth, civil society, faith-based institutions, philanthropy, private sector, international organizations, and UN member states. There will be concrete financial and policy commitments and scaled-up initiatives in critical areas, survivor support services, legal frameworks, and more resources for grassroots organizations. Today, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence also opens some exciting hopes. It begins the annual 16 Days Against Gender-Based Violence, a series of events aimed at creating real change. For 2021, the theme is Orange the World, End Violence Against Women Now. Orange symbolizes a brighter future free of violence. I welcome and urge you to participate. Women's groups and concerned people everywhere have been vital to the progress that has been made. Going forward, together, we can make life better and brighter for many more girls and women across the world.
All right, so that was the Executive Director of UN Women and her message on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, which was on the 25th of November, and also the kickoff date for the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. And now we have another special clip featuring our very own Garth Sinclair, and this was a message, Ion Dependency's message for the 16 Days of Activism for the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago. Garth, you want to?
Yeah, we have more, and we have more of those
yes,
videos for you, courtesy the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago. So we will be playing some of those for you in between breaks. So we were asked to contribute, and here is the contribution from Annie. Remember, We'll be joined by Miss Cavelle Mills in a while, who will tell her story. She went through sexual abuse as a child and then domestic violence as an adult. So I could just imagine it wasn't easy walking in her shoes and, in her shoe. And so we'll hear more about that from her in a while. But let's go to the message on behalf of the InterClub from Dependency. Hello, I am Garth St. Clair, host of the radio program Eye on Dependency. Recently, we produced a documentary in collaboration with the Counter-Trafficking unit, The Story of Maria. It's about a teenager who was groomed online and smuggled from Venezuela to Trinidad for the purpose of sex trafficking. Thankfully, she was rescued by law enforcement before having to do a night's work. But Maria's story illustrates so many of the dangers associated with the crime of human trafficking. Importantly, it is a lesson about how the demand for commercial sex drives persons to recruit and traffic women and girls to meet that insatiable demand. We may never end the sex trade, but as the world commemorates series of activism against gender-based violence, I'm appealing to the men who buy sex to consider this. You are contributing to the exploitation of women and girls, many of whom have dreams for their lives, which do not involve having sex for money. Real men don't buy women and girls. For more information on our dependency, please feel free to check our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Thank you and be safe.
This message is a part of the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago's Orange the World campaign. End violence against women and girls now.
Sinclair, representing our independency for the InterClub's campaign. It's one of several videos that was presented to them, and this is our contribution. Real men don't buy women and girls, and as you know, human trafficking is one of the crimes that perpetrates violence against mainly women and girls, especially those involved in the sex trade.
Correct. So folks, let's take a break. And when we return, we have one more message from the InterClub, and then we'll be speaking with Ms. Cavelle Mills, who will take us on her journey. Stay right there, we'll be back.
I'm Alicia, and you are listening to Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha on I-95.5 FM, Trinidad and Tobago. Don't traffic drugs, it's not worth it.
Go, sona! I come in and don't give me no attitude there.
You have shit no manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them, scope them out, see if they have low self-esteem, family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to the problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you
Forget
and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice, nice.
Look one right here. Try thing now.
A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
It's important to be an active bystander because there are many reasons why a woman would not report an incident of violence. If I had a friend who was a silent victim of violence, I would ask how they were and if they needed help. I would share resources with them, document the incident, ensuring a trail of evidence, and I would support them emotionally. Some women experience violence and choose not to report, usually due to a fear of backlash they might receive from their community. One of the focuses UN Women has is to strengthen survivor and victim protection services, considering this cultural fear consequence. We must invest in women organizations and invest in laws and policies that ensure inclusive services. We must leave no one behind.
I'm Alicia, and you are listening to I on Dependency with Garth and Natasha on I-95.5 from Trinidad and Tobago. Don't traffic drugs. It's not worth it.
Right, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. And we are trying to hook up now with our guest, Cavelle Mills, who will tell us her story. She, as you heard in the promo, she suffered sexual abuse as a child and domestic violence as an adult. And this is in keeping with, again, the 16 days of activism and the thrust on the part of our Dependency to create a safe space for women to tell their stories and to support survivors and victims in telling their stories.
Now, there's a problem, and there's always an ongoing problem every time we decide to do a program like this. The survivor always have that issue with people, or there are people who have issues with people telling their stories and trying to heal themselves. Let me remind you, and again, thank you for joining us on our Dependency. You can also join us live on our Dependency Facebook page or our YouTube channel. And thank you for listening to us on I-95.5 FM. When our Dependency started, I don't know if some of you remember, I told my story. Now, I could have done that after I was still healing then, because I had to forgive the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force for what they did to me and so many other sailors and soldiers. I had to move on, because we found out later on that what they did to us was wrong. But throwing us to the wolves was what they knew back then. They were ignorant of the substance abuse issues, and they didn't understand predisposition. They didn't understand a lot of things about substance abuse. So they kicked us to the wolves. They kicked us to the curb. That hurt. It still hurts up to this day. But I was able to forgive them, forgive myself for making the wrong choice that I did, and use that experience now to help other people. Yeah, there are people who would constantly tell me, boy, that is in the past, forget that, move on. You never forget trauma. It lives with you forever, especially when you felt that someone could have saved you, or you could have done something to save yourself. So this is the third time a survivor reports to us that either the abuser, who some of them still alive, would have a problem with the person speaking their truth. Well, I'd like to let you abusers know that we even prepare to give you some understanding because of maybe predisposition to as well. Maybe you saw your father, or you was abused by your father, and you grew up and you abused women and men yourself. We prepare to understand that, but do not be upset with someone who survived these trauma decide now to speak their truth. You, to put it in simple layman terms, you need to rock so. Because this is how people heal. This is how I was able to heal and use my experience now to help even members of the Defense Force understand substance abuse. Stranger, I should not have wanted to do that. I should have continued to hate them. But their policy have changed now in some ways, either because of legal intervention or whatever. I remember sitting with the then Chief of Defense Staff, Mr. Pritchard and Colonel Jeffrey, to help them come up with a policy. Should I have done that or not? Should I have hated them enough to say, well, you rock so with that, I don't want to help, well, you do not know, you kick me to the wolves. No, that's how people heal. I want you all to understand this.
I was just gonna say, yes. I mean, this is also a way of the survivors healing, as you said, from their trauma. And I just lost my train of thought, but I was just gonna say, it's another way as well of you know, getting rid of the shame associated with acts of violence and abuse, because there's a lot of shame involved. And this is why a lot of women do not report abuse that is committed against them. So the shame that is, the additional shame that is piled on by family and friends and the perpetrator alike is a continuation of the cycle of abuse.
Yes.
So, this practice needs to stop.
I remember when Odika O'Neill worked at TV6 at the time, and she decided to do an expose on incest. Man, she was almost tarred and feathered for it, because there's a hoodie cap fit saying that plays here very often. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it would hate those who speak it. And we love to do that. We love to drift from the truth, because you, as well as I know, there are people who you love so dear, and in some cases genuflect. Teachers, school principals, how many of them you know? Coaches, Cub Scouts or Cub Masters, Cub Scout or Scout Masters, doctors, lawyers, magistrates, judges, politicians, journalists, hairdressers, barbers, policemen, or any arm of the protective service for that matter, priest, pastor. How many of you know that same person will leave you and go home and molest the child or their daughter or son or a family member, and put on the jacket and tie same way and come out smiling and go on platforms and pulpits and preach to the congregate? So let us not pretend that there are sick people out there who take advantage of others. It happens. Human trafficking and sex trafficking would not be a thing without the support of people with money.
Yep. Who looking to make money.
And who looking to make money.
It's a very lucrative industry.
It's a very lucrative industry. And there are people with families who drive the most expensive vehicles, will drive around in the evening, pick up little boys who begging for money and take advantage of them, or frequent these places of repute or ill repute.
Yes.
In their expensive cars, and take advantage of 12 and 13-year-old girls and 15-year-old girls. So please, let us understand this. So we'll cross to Miss Mills after this other video from the InterClub, Women of Substance. This is from Women of Substance?
Yes. This is another contribution to the InterClub campaign, and we just want to play this video before we speak with our guests.
We'll speak with her right after this.
Women of Substance.
And while you wait on Hinkson.
Hi, I am Anika Mars, survivor of domestic violence and abuse. I recently celebrated 13 years of freedom from that abusive relationship. I am now an advocate against the very thing that tried to destroy me. I am the founder and president of Women of Substance non-profit organization. My organization lends support to persons affected by domestic violence and abuse. We offer group support via our domestic violence support group, Sit and Chat with Anika Mars, where we invite victims and survivors to come in and sit and chat in a safe environment where we share our experiences in an effort to empower each other. Because as a victim of domestic violence and abuse, you often feel alone. You often ask, why me? But what I want you to know is there is hope. There is life after abuse. You are not the abuse you suffered. You are not responsible for the abuse you suffered. I encourage you to reach out for help. There's help available. My organization can be contacted at 485-9534 or via our Facebook page, Women of Substance Tobago. End violence against women and girls now.
This message is a part of the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago's Orange the World campaign. End violence against women and girls now.
Point fives. Who the cap fits.
Who the cap fit? Let them wear it.
The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. George Orwell.
Who the cap fit? Let them wear it.
That's the man.
Thank you very much.
That's the Who the Cap Fit.
Thank you very much, Cameron. And now we will cross to Miss Cavelle Mills, who will take us on her journey, tell us of her experience, tell you and anybody who you need. You know there are people who are going through this. You know there are people who you should be rescuing or defending or trying to reach out to. Well, maybe Miss Mills' story will help you to do that. Good morning, Miss Mills.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much, very much for agreeing to speak with us this morning and take us and speak your truth and take us on your journey. So, are you comfortable and ready to speak?
I am. Yes, it is a challenge, but I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine. I'm ready.
I know. So, Cavelle, please take us from the beginning, your experience.
Okay.
When you can remember.
My experiences are a bit different to others, and I think that coming on this platform this morning to do this, you have to be in the position to understand where I'm at. I was sexually assaulted at the tender age of 11 years by a family friend, and that experience for me was quite an ordeal. This friend was about 17 or 18, somewhere about there. And strange enough, we all used to hang out together and in groups and stuff back then. But one day he decided that he wanted to take something from me that I did not know anything about. At that age, I didn't know about sex, I didn't know about boyfriends, I didn't know about nothing like that, innocent to the entire thing. And one day my aunt sent me to the parlor, and I passed through a track that everybody accustomed passing through a track. You just run through the track, you go, you get your stuff, and you run back. And I ran through the track, I got the stuff, but young people like to stop and talk. So I talking with this girlfriend here, talking with that one, talking before I run back home. I saw the guy on the street. He didn't say anything to me. However, I was on my way back to the track, walking, singing, going my way, going back to my aunt's house. And I felt someone pushed me. I felt a push, and I fell to the ground. And by the time I turned around trying to get up, it's this gentleman on top of me. And yes, he put his hand over my mouth, and I couldn't scream, and he assaulted me then. I don't want to be too graphic because I don't know the listening public, maybe children. I don't want to be too graphic. However,
Cavelle?
Yes?
You be as explicit and graphic as you could. Tell the truth. Okay, we issued a disclaimer long ago that the programs that we do is to shock and wake up people. So you go ahead.
Radio.
So I could remember what I had on that day. I could remember. And it was a whole suit, a short pants suit. And he just pulled my pants to the side and he took his penis and he pushed it into my vagina and it was not going anywhere. And he was rough. And it was, a fighting up with him and he fighting back with me. And eventually, because I took so long out the road lining, my aunt saw it. Well, I sent this child in the shop so long and I'm not seeing this child coming back. So she decided now to come to look for me through the track. And all she said she saw feet beating up in the track, like two people fighting. So she picked up a piece of stick and she ran through the track. And when she ran through, she realized to see what this man was doing to me. And she tried to hit him and he moved. And the piece of stick or wood or whatever it was hit me across my chest. No. After all of that, she called my mother. And, well, at that point, everybody is shocked. At the time, my father was a police officer. And my family was, in my view, a prominent family in the area. So when I saw my mother looked, that face that she had, I could see it, she's dead now, but I'm seeing that face now. This woman was confused, frightened, worried. I don't know what to do, how I'm going to operate. I can't touch this child. And she looked at me. And she asked me what happened, and I told her. Whether she believed me or not at that point, I couldn't say. I was in pain. Sometime after, I don't know who were the other relatives she spoke with. And she took me to the only doctor. It was a Saturday. And she took me to the only doctor that was open at the time. I sympathize with victims who are children who do physical examinations after a traumatic experience. Because that examination was so painful. It was heart-rending. I went through a second trauma. Eventually, well, it was time to tell my dad, and it was time to at least, you tell me as a parent, what do I do then? What's next? Because this guy, you know him. You know his parents, you know his family. So what do we do now? And these are the questions that were going through my mind. I started to ask myself if I was wrong to stand out the road. So I started to blame myself for everything, for going by my aunt, for going out the road to get his stuff, for talking to anybody, for seeing the guy. So I started to blame myself. So she said she will call my dad. For folks who know me from a child would know, my father, that's my pillar. That is my pillar of strength. And I could remember Mommy calling him and telling him about it. And he was working in Trinidad then, and his exact words were, I don't believe that. Cavelle gave in to this boy. At that point, my world crumbled. I wished that I was dead. My mother...
Before you go on, I just wanted to ask whether... So because your father was a police officer, there wasn't any inkling on your mom's part to report it as soon as she realized what happened, instead of taking you to a private doctor to take you to the police station first? I can't, at that time, I can't even answer that. No, answering it no because I'm a police. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to do that. That's the first thing you do. Right. But what I understand back then is that things were taken for granted. And most people know on this platform, I'm Tobagonian. Yeah. And in Tobago, the culture in Tobago, and I say it with no reservations, is to keep everything quiet. Yep. So at that juncture, I was just thinking, my mother didn't even know if to report or not to report because your child's father is already a police. This is already stigma. Would he want that to happen? Do I do it? So
at
thinking
this,
about
we
other
never
people's
discuss it.
shame instead of yours, and
Exactly.
the
And
trauma you just
usually from my experience dealing with other victims, I realize that that's the first thing the parent actually thinks about themselves. You don't think about each other. I wonder what Sheila going and say, you know, Jane, me and Jane, stop talk, Jane, going and call up my name, and oh God, but child, look what you do to me. Look how you make people calling up my name. And that is usually the first response. My mother was not a type of person that would chat up with everybody, chat up and tell everybody this, tell everybody that. But at that point, I am dealing with pain and I'm dealing with understanding what's happening. So I'm totally confused. At 11, I'm totally confused.
Of course. Of course. And you mentioned your father's response. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because did you actually speak to him about what happened?
I spoke to him on the phone. It was a telephone conversation we had. And it was about minutes to 7. It was about after 6 in the evening, minutes to 7 that evening. And I could only talk now looking back. At that time, I want to know what was going on. I said, but this is madness. What to do? I'm frightened. I'm in a lost world. But looking back now, my parents were more afraid than I was. They didn't know what to do. They were confused. And I'm telling you, nothing like this has ever happened to anybody else in the family that I know of. Not on both sides of the family that I know of, as a matter of fact. So how do you deal with? We are fortunate in 2021 to be able to have so much literature and empowerment and so much legislation and so many things afforded to us now where child sexual abuse is concerned. We have so many gates to open. We have so many doors that we could walk through. But back then, it was shut your mouth and that's it. It will die a natural death. I went ahead with that pain. I had a cousin that I grew up with. He's about my age. He never knew about the situation until I spoke with him about 2 days ago when he heard about the program. He never knew. Because if mommy is behaving like, I ain't telling you, daddy is saying, I don't believe you, then what am I supposed to do? Say something about it?
And that's a really Cavelle, sorry.
Go ahead.
That is a very weird position for a man to take. You would find more that a woman will do that because of not wanting the shame, but for a man to take that position, I know men go crazy.
Of course.
To know that a man touched the daughter.
No, I hear you. And I am thinking, and I'm not picking up for anybody because I should have said this before I started. What I am about to say going to touch some people. That's fine. My thing is not to abuse or bash anybody today.
Right.
This is about me. This is all about me moving forward. I have a lot of greatness inside. And that stops with me. I have female cousins or nieces and stuff, relatives. It's not gonna happen to them. So it stops with me. I need them to be as vocal as I am. If you touch me inappropriately, you need to say, I don't care who you are. So I know I'm gonna touch a lot of people today, but then again, that's fine. It's about me today. It really is. I followed fashion, or I followed suit from my parents, and I decided I'm not saying anything. And I came up troubled, very quietly. I tried to put everything behind me. And I tried to forget as much as I possibly can. The guy, that perpetrator, that gentleman, did not stay very long in Trinidad and Tobago. His relatives sent him abroad, so he went abroad. So I stayed here now, going through this pain and this hurt. I'm not saying anything to anybody because I don't have very much friends. Everybody would look at me in shame. They would laugh me. They would say nasty things about me, and I didn't know how to deal with that then. I went through school, and I still didn't say anything to anybody. I never spoke about this incident until I joined the Child Protection Unit sometime in 2014. And I started doing some training. I must give the TTPS hats off. That training with the TTPS that we did from 2014 to 15, boss training. And because of that level of training, that is when it came out. There was a particular facilitator who started talking, and while you're talking and they're giving experiences and you're reading and stuff, you realize, well, how could you, a hurt person, help someone else who is hurt? You've got to clean yourself up first before you deal with somebody else. Because I may get vexed, I may see something, a trigger may come, and I may take it out on somebody who, come to me with this report. So I had to open back that store, which was not a very easy store to open. And I got the help. I reached out to professionals, and I got the help that I needed.
No, Cavelle, when after this happened, how were you able to focus in school? Did you continue your education?
I went to school, yes, but I remember growing up as an A+ student, and I went from an A+, and I would say probably a D to a D. And my parents, my mom especially, would say things like, why are you not picking up your book? Why are you not studying? Why are you not this? You ain't gonna make nothing of yourself if you continue like that, and she not understanding what is happening. And at that point, I must say I gave up. I gave up, however it hung its wing. When I left secondary school, I left school without one subject to my name. I left school and I planned that day. I said, I have to kill myself today. Have to kill myself today. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it today. My mother was working at marketing board at the time in Shore Park, and I went to her with my results, and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I'm looking around the office, to either find something, because that place used to sell pesticides, and I'm looking around, and she called me and she said, come. She said, what happened? I said, Mommy, I don't want to be here anymore. I can't function. I can't do this. And one would expect that at that time, I should have said, Mommy, this thing really bothering me. But you know what came up in my mind? And it has been bothering me it has bothered me for a long time. If your father ain't believe you, nobody else ain't going to believe you. Not now, not then, especially not now. And that boy is not here. He lives abroad, so forget that. And this is the demon that's raging up inside of me and fighting with me. And I'm like, what do I do? And she said, Cavelle, I'm going to work with you. I am going to work with you. Let's do this. I went back to school for one more year. And within that 1 year, I told myself, after she spoke with me and I told her about the suicide thing and what have you, she was very traumatic. She was really sad with that though, but we talked about it, and I said, Cavelle, listen, bury this for good. Let it go. Think it deep. Don't even try to remember the day. Don't try to remember the boy face. Don't try to remember nothing. Just don't remember. Just try to bury it. And I decided it was hard. I'm going through with this. 1 year of secondary school I went, and I got my full certificate. And I decided to work. And I got my subjects, and I started working. But there was a fear in me. I don't know where the fear came from, but it cut my self-esteem in half. So I was like, if I'm about to do something that I really want to do, I say, nah. I'm supposed to do it, and everything ahead of me to do it. Nah, Jane got I trying to make up myself, and so I started, my self-esteem started dropping at that point.
Cavelle, hold on. If you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Cavelle Mills, telling us about her story, her journey, molested as a child. And of course, she will take us into adulthood too, because she suffered some trauma there as well. But before, Cavelle, before you do that, I just wanted a question in quickly. about your relation. How did you feel about the male? How was it easy to trust men after that experience? Because I mean, you were violated by one. How was that? How was your relationship with your male counterpart?
Because at that point, I had to survive the way I had to find a means of survival. I joined the police service. That was my safe haven. And I know that I joined very quietly and very innocent and very quiet and babyish. But I was determined. Nobody else going to do that to me. No other man going to do that to me. And I built, I don't know, but when you join the service, I hope this is not going against the TTPS, but this is my personal view. It don't have to be anybody else's. You feel a sense of authority and a sense of power. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Of
yes.
course, yeah. We understand.
And I got that. I felt that. So that was my shield. And then I am with male-dominated. There are lots of men there. And I decided to look at how men think. It wasn't a good sight, but I started to see how they felt about women, how they felt about this girl, how they felt about the language. I kind of used that, and I listened. And I started gaining my strength a little by little. And I said to myself, I have to get this forceful demeanor. I have to get it so that no one will come back in.
Yeah,
my
so
mother
that
said
was
to me one
your
day,
shield, yeah. Go ahead.
yes, my mother said to me one day, I want you to stop. Before she died, she said, I want you to stop. You have gotten a wall, a guard that is so hard. It's so hard with men. So that when you come now, you're expanding it to everybody. We're not prisoners. We want you to have that soft side. But remember, you're telling me you want me to have that soft side. But I had to find a place that I could survive, that I could move. And that was my protection. It worked for me, and it did not work in some situations. In some of my relationships, I was too hard. There are men who are afraid to talk to me for whatever reason. You know how that is sometimes.
Stick a pin right there. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and Cavelle will tell us about this other side of the journey now where she encountered some domestic violence. But you said something so powerful there, Cavelle, about when you join the police service, what happens to an individual. I guess, for you, I know it was taking back some of what you have lost, some of your control. So, yeah? Yes. So we're going to take this quick break, and when we return, we speak about the other side of the experience that she had. You're listening to Dependency right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. We'll be back.
Thanks, son.
Short man.
Go, sona. I come in. And don't give me no attitude there.
You have Shiana manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them. Scope them out. See if they have low self-esteem. Family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to their problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you
Forget
and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice.
Look one right there. Try thing now.
A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Go, son, I come in and don't give me no attitude there.
You have shit no manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them. Scope them out. See if they have low self-esteem, family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to the problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice, nice.
Look one right here. Try thing now.
A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
It's important to be an active bystander because there are many reasons why a woman would not report an incident of violence. If I had a friend who was a silent victim of violence, I would ask how they were and if they needed help. I would share resources with them, document the incident, ensuring a trail of evidence, and I would support them emotionally. Some women experience violence and choose not to report, usually due to a fear of backlash they might receive from their community. One of the focuses UN Women has is to strengthen survivor and victim protection services considering this cultural fear consequence. We must invest in women organizations and invest in laws and policies that ensure inclusive services. We must leave no one behind.
Hi, I'm Danielle and you're listening to Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography, Trinidad and Tobago. Don't traffic drugs, it's not worth it.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency, and in commemoration of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we are speaking with a survivor of rape and domestic violence, Cavelle Mills. She's on the line with us, and we are continuing her. When we left in the before the last break, her entry into the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as basically a sword and shield to protect herself from the world, I guess, and from men. Yeah.
Cavelle, welcome back.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, we will speak about your foundation afterwards, and let people know, where they can access the help. But so you became a police officer, but even as a police officer, you still had some experience with domestic violence. Tell us about that.
So, I moved on and I got married and so on. And I got married to someone else in the military. And I thought, sometimes you see people, but you don't see them. And I think that was my thing. I knew this guy from before, from school and so on. And we got married. He drank. He used to drink alcohol before we met. And it was something that I could basically live with. It wasn't bad for me when I met him. It wasn't that bad. So we would go on and stuff. And he would make some kind of utterances sometimes to me that were very nasty. He would use obscene and use some nasty language to me sometimes. And I'm like, why are you like this? And it's always when he's drunk. So the drinking just started to go on and on. So one day I said, why do you drink so much though? I mean, what's the problem? Let's talk about this. And he said, where he works, it's very stressful there. I said, but I am a police. and it's stressful by me. So I found little strategies to work with him so that we could both work it out. That didn't work. I brought in counselors, pastors, whoever, to talk this man cut up the people, and it didn't work. And then it got worse. So he started to. One day he came to me. I would just give one example. One of the incidents that occurred. He came to me and he would come in drunk all the time. And my last daughter was about 3 years old. The other one was somewhere like about 10. And my eldest daughter would be so upset. She used to be really, really angry sometimes. And he would come and he would quarrel. I used to work in the task force back then. And when I came home, I remember one time I was coming home after a long shift. And this boy I just see something pass in front of my eyes. And when I look, he stands in the house with a glass, a drinking glass, one of my tumblers. And he stands there and he tilts the glass from the kitchen straight to the veranda. I missed it. And he said, don't come back here. Don't come here. Go back where you come from. You know I coming from work. I am so tired. I said, okay. I spoke to mommy about it. I didn't start to give them everything, but I started to tell them that this man is getting violent for whatever reason I cannot handle it. Nobody in the family knows anything about domestic violence either, so nobody can help me. So that went on. In terms of finances, for me, there was no finances. There was none. This man was drinking out all the money, so I had to do everything. And I am telling him, we can't do this. So with every living single thing, it used to be an argument. And when the argument starts, all hell breaks loose. There was this one time I got pregnant, and I lost the twins. I was having twins, and I lost them. And I had to do surgery. And I came home. My mother, I think, was in Barbados at the time. So at the time, I had to lie down where I'm comfortable. He went to work. I had the kids at home. And I am on the ground. I lay on the ground to get a little comfort and ease. And he came in the door, and my little daughter ran in, and she said, Mommy, Daddy, stinky. Well, that's the alcohol that's smelling off. So I realized he coming home, and he drunk. And I know when he come home drunk, all hell going to break loose. And I'm saying to myself, I am sick. I cannot deal with this. He came in, and he slapped me on my leg, and he said, I'm hungry. I said to him, do not do that. Do you not think that I am sick? You ain't seeing that I sick? You expect me to get up to cook? And then he insisted that I give him something to eat. He walked outside. He came back inside. Yeah, and you're talking to you. At that time, he came into the room again.
Yeah, so the recounting this story is...
Yes, he came into the room again, and when he came in, he took his foot, and he kicked me in my vagina and told me, I said to get up and go and get something for me to eat. Well, of course, by then the stitches burst away. And I had to try and get off the ground and try to sort myself out. And that was just one incident that was so graphic. I mean, I'm talking to you guys and tears are in my eyes because this is one of the incidents that I don't usually talk about. And he would abuse me not physically, verbally, and it was something that was really bad. And I said to myself, one day my daughter came to me and she saw the verbal abuse that I got. And he would vomit down the house and go away, and it was hard. And she said to me, Mommy, divorce him, please. Divorce him, Mommy. Mommy, divorce him, please. That was my eldest daughter. I didn't say anything to my mother. I didn't say anything to my aunts next door. I didn't say anything because why? I was so ashamed. Cavelle, the police, locking up everybody in town. and gain this kind of treatment home? No, man, that can't be right. I found myself in a hole again at the hands of a man. And I said to myself, Cavelle, you need to do something about this. It is affecting your children. My last daughter was too small to understand, I guess, what's happening. But the eldest one, she knew. And she was constantly sad. She was always sad. So I decided, Cavelle, look, you need to get up. You need to face this thing by the horn. You need to get up. And there was this one time, he came home, he was drunk, and I was doing something in the house, and he came home and he started pelting stuff, and he came over me. I was ironing something, and he came over me, and I decided to burn him with the iron at that point, because I said, if he hit me tonight, I am not taking it. It was so much, and it's every night he drunk, every night. And the unfortunate or fortunate part about this is, when you talk to him about it, it's always, he never do it. He ain't remember doing it. So with every incident that occurred, he never remember. He don't know. So I am saying, boss, you're alcoholic because this alcohol is making you forget something, making you forget. And then he would come, he's sorry, he ain't gonna do it again. And it started all over, and it's over and over. And I decided, I said, look, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. My children, I can't. And I started talking to mommy about it, and my mother said, Cavelle, I was never married. But you just quarrel, you just be making noise. I said, yes, I had to make noise about it. So I realized I'm not going to get no support from you. I don't want to hear you anymore. I shut off my mouth one time. I don't want to hear. I want some help. And I'm not getting it there, I'm going to get it somehow.
And hold on a sec. Pause for a second there, Cavelle. So you, as a police officer, I understand what you're saying about you being a police officer in a position of authority and enduring this kind of abuse at home and not being comfortable or safe to tell anybody. But and you understood, I'm sure, that people knew what was happening. You didn't have to tell them, they knew. But nobody intervened. Is there anything that you could recall if there was any opportunity for somebody to intervene in the situation you were experiencing?
All right. So there was one incident. Say again?
Yes, no. Before you go to that, I just wanted to explain a little. You heard you say the part about the alcoholic, and he didn't believe alcoholics suffer blackouts. So what I encourage people to do now, when they call us, we have phones now that can record their behavior, and when they sober up, show them it, because they always doubt that they cuss up the place, they break up the glass, they do this, they always, because some alcoholics suffer blackouts. So and that's a real thing. So this is why we wanted to encourage Angostura to be a more corporate, responsible corporate entity, but that's another story I'll deal with just before we leave here. The question Natasha asked you.
There was this one time that he actually hit me, right, in the face. And I decided to go to the hospital. I decided to make a report, and I decided to go to the hospital.
Right.
I went to the hospital, and I spoke to the doctor. It was another woman police I confided in at the time. And went to the hospital. And when I went to the hospital, the doctor watching me, and he asked me what happened, and I told him exactly what happened. A little lash, your husband give you, and you just come up here and just want to change the man's life. And I said, I need a medical. He said, but this ain't warrant no medical for the police. I said, I need a medical. And I had to say that to him 3 times, and I decided I'm not moving. And he did write the medical, and I went. At the time, I spoke to I think he was a ASP, he's now retired. And I went to him, he was in charge of the community police unit. And I spoke with him, and he took an official report from me. And I got the medical, I gave him the medical, the woman police had the medical, and she gave it to him, and he looked at the medical, and he saw the injuries. He said, what are you going to do? What do you want to do from here on? I said, I am afraid for my life. I told him that because you are military. I am paramilitary. We both carry firearms. I didn't know what was going to happen. When you're drunk, I don't know what would you do. And I decided to go very softly with it. And I submitted a report through my seniors to his establishment. And he was normal and going about his way, doing everything and normal. And then when we contacted the welfare department of that organization, they said to me that they have no file or report on it. And we had to jump some heads. We had to jump over some heads to get to the person to the top. And we submitted a report. I don't know what they did with him on his end, but what I can tell you, there were times that I would go out with friends and his colleagues would see me and call him and tell him, look, she here, and he shows up. And the last time somebody drunk him sometime and he fell down and he had some firearm on him, and it was scary for me. But I have never said this to anybody. I just told my colleagues, I need to get out and I need to get out. And eventually I left him.
Cavelle, so yes, well, we understand what you say. You paramilitary and he was military. That's that correct? Heard you right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's a prevalent problem in the military as well.
And that makes the situation even more dangerous.
Yes, and you're right. You have firearm, he has firearm. You never know what could have happened. And somebody wanted to find out, did he drink mostly outside or at home?
Not so much at home. Not so much at home. But when he's with his friends, he would drink a lot. And then you're coming home like that. You're coming home like that. When I realized, I would say it, I am not afraid. Now I am a great place now. When I realized that, Cavelle, but wait, you're back against the wall here. This is our next type of abuse you're going through again as well, girl. Who's going to help you with this? I didn't call. I have my good friend, Onika Mars. We share a lot of things. Onika never knew about this until a long time after. Right? I didn't talk to anybody about it more than what I told you all that I did. And I said, you know what? I need to get his attention. You take me from my mother's house. According to them old people, you take me good up from my good up place to bring me to get married to me now. And then this is the kind of treatment you're giving me. I've never seen my father raise his hand to any woman. Never. So I am not accustomed to that. And
what was your relationship, if any, with his family, his relatives? Did they know what was going on with him?
I had conversation with his mother. One day I called his mother and I told his mother, you know, this is what happening. Well, tell him to come back home. He has a room here. Put out his things. Let him come back here. No support.
Wow.
No support.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Independency right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Independency Facebook page and YouTube channel. We are speaking with Ms. Cavelle Mills, who will really giving us a detailed account of her experience with child sexual abuse and domestic violence as an adult. And it's really instructive for us here this morning, especially. I am so glad, not that he's an alcoholic, but that we still can keep this issue on the front burner, because society tends to forget that alcohol too is a drug.
Correct.
And it's a dangerous drug. And when someone cannot deal with it, it ends up like this. Now let me ask this pertinent question. Did you all ever try to find out about his family line? Was there an alcoholic on his mother's side or father's side?
I checked sometime after, and he had two uncles that were alcoholics that I saw. Well, uncle and cousin, if you want to say it like that.
There you go.
But after their personal, you know, life in terms of their wives or their girlfriends or what have you, I would not have known, what was going on at home.
Is he still serving?
Then, no, he isn't. He has retired.
Did he get any help for his problem?
At this juncture, I can't say. At the time with me, he refused all. So with me, no. I don't know if he decided to get any help or if he has gotten help since.
Okay.
I really don't know. I would say this. Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna pivot a little bit to something that Garth mentioned earlier about his experience in the military with drug use and how dangerous it is to have men and women being trained in firearms and having these addiction issues to battle. How do these organizations treat with its members who have these issues? That is and it's not just it's the violence that erupts that may erupt when an individual who is trained in these ways can inflict on his or her family. And how do the organizations treat with its members who have these problems?
Added to which, Cavelle, there are a number, you're not alone, you weren't alone in this regard.
No.
There are a number of homes, especially, and this comes from partly with men with low coping skills, predisposition, and some introduced to alcohol. And in there, but there are a number of homes in this country that are experiencing that right now. And your organization, Choice Foundation, will be able to send up a white flag for them, and we will speak about that after this break, can we?
Yes, we can.
All right. So, folks, you're listening to Independency, and we will take a quick break. And when we return, Cavelle will tell us about what led her to set up the Choice Foundation, and how many, because I'm sure she has seen, she's seen now more of
how widespread the problem
is in Trinidad and Tobago. You can join us on the Independency Facebook page or YouTube channel, or stay on I-95.5 FM. We'll be back.
Slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. There is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the Counter-Trafficking hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
The biggest challenge when it comes to addressing violence against women and girls are systemic in nature. Most societies today continue to be male-dominated, and in many communities, violence is normalized, it's accepted. What's worse, the social stigmatization that survivors of violence experience from their families, from their communities, from authorities and all actors discourages them to report cases of abuse. And all of this then results in a culture of silence that we all must come together to eradicate.
We can prevent violence against women before it happens. It means tackling the root causes of violence, working with men and boys to end power over women, which is often normalized and justified. Transforming these root causes and preventing violence needs political commitment and leadership, laws and policies that promote gender equality, investments in women's organizations, and resources for prevention work. But prevention also starts with you. You can start by educating yourself. Speak out when you get a chance. Advocate for survivors' rights and always listen to survivors. Preventing violence against women and girls before it actually happens is the most effective way of ending it. So let's start now.
I'm Mava, and you listen to I on Dependency with Garth and Natasha on I-95.5 FM, Trinidad and Tobago. Don't be a fool and be a mule.
All right, we have a contribution from the InterClub of Freetown Collective. Shortman, you could go to that, please. Mr. Hinkson Boris, please go to D.
Greetings. My name is Muhammad Muwakil, lead singer of Freetown Collective. And, coming to you today as a brother, a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and the world, is appalling to me in many ways what has become the norm in the way we as men treat our women. To hear women say that they don't feel safe when they walk the street. When you think of your own mother, your daughter, your sisters, the people around you, to know that the life givers of our tribe do not feel safe when they walk the street is a big deal for me, and it should be for all of us as men. And so some of you all out there may be wondering, what can I do? I'm just me. What can I do in terms of creating a difference? Well, here's what I'll say to you. The first thing that you need to do is to look inside your own self and your own behavior to see where are you possibly going wrong and adding to the problem. Analyze yourself and see if you can make a difference in yourself. Secondly, don't be a passive bystander when you see things happening. If you're in a group of men and they're calling out a woman and that kind of stuff, it's an opportunity for you to speak to your brethren. Every single one of us could make a change in the groups that we find ourselves in.
This message is a part of the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago's Orange the World campaign. End violence against women and girls now.
So that was Freetown Collective as part of the InterClub of Trinidad and Tobago's 16 days campaign.
Cavelle, thank you for staying with us. Tell us, how did you and what, just before we go to the Alison Salandi, and this is a very powerful statement there. It is so important now for youngsters dating to find out as much as possible about family background before even thinking about tying the knot. There are so many things. Cavelle, this is not like a long time. We are in a different time now. I always tell people that even parents now should have discussions with their children. There's no shame in it if your grandfather was at St. Anne's Hospital or grandmother, because it's called predisposition. If your father was an alcoholic or grandfather was an alcoholic, it could skip one generation. You could have 5 children, it skip all and catch one. This is the reality now in Trinidad, in the world where these issues are concerned. Cavelle, you set up a foundation. Tell us about that. What made you decide to do that?
Because of my experience as a child, one, and then I started working with in the child protection unit. I started working in the child protection unit, and victims came to me, and the stories that would come when I realized Tobago at the time, they're now starting. These children not getting the social, we're not able to do the investigations properly without that little social intervention. So yes, we're doing the police part, but there is a social part where these children need to have counseling done while they're going through this. And it wasn't happening in Tobago at the time. I decided that here's what, these children need a voice. They need to talk. They need a place where they would feel safe. They need somebody to stand up for them. And I decided at that point that I am going to be that change in Tobago. The shut your mouth and don't say nothing, and yes, I'm coming into your space for you to start to talk. So I decided to form an organization, an NGO called Choice Foundation. That organization started in 2017. It's registered, and we started it only about 4 of us first. We started off, our organization deals with children who victims of abuse, children who have issues with behaviors, children in vulnerable situations. We also deal with families because we believe in family life. We believe in healthy family life. So we also deal with parents who do not know, who do not understand, and who want to make a change or who want to do things differently. We have a support group of our parents group, core parent body called Coffee and Conversation. That group where we come, those parents would come and sit and talk. And my daughter was sexually assaulted, and I just seen these changes, this happening, this. What do I do? How do I operate? So we have that support system as well for parents to be able to handle your child or children who are in situations of that nature. We have also organized programs, workshops throughout the schools in Trinidad. Well, in more so in Tobago, we do workshops and programs with the schools on the island, and any organization that reaches out to us for assistance, we empower and we educate. So we are that advocating voice for children and child abuse.
And
in a little nutshell.
Your Facebook page is Choice Foundation TT?
Yes, the Facebook page is Choice Foundation TT. You can visit the page anytime.
All right.
We also have a youth director and a youth arm of the organization. Even as a young person, whether you're a victim, survivor, whatever of abuse, you can join the organization. We have 65 young people. We have a youth department that we work with you. So we reach out and we help.
What kind of response have you been getting so far for the outreach work that you've been doing?
Let me openly say this. We're not ready to help children in Trinidad and Tobago with child abuse. We're not radical enough to help. If it is that my niece or my brother's son or my son or my daughter was affected, yes, they will jump in. But people are not ready for that. I have gotten little help on the island. There were people who would reach out and would give. There are people who would reach out. But for how long? This is not today I wake up and I want 100 likes on my Facebook page, so I donate some goods, or I give you some clothes to a child that don't have any clothes or something. It's not like that. This is a process. It's something hard, but it is a process. We have gotten assistance. We were the only organization at the time in Tobago, that was last year, that participated in the Spotlight Initiative with the United Nations.
Yes.
We were successful in acquiring a small grant, and we did a program with victims of sexual abuse in Tobago. And these children, if you see the stories after they wrote, after that 1 week program in Tobago, we did with them for the Easter just before we were shut down again. When those stories, those journals, those children sent on my email, you know that this thing is working. I want to give kudos to Create Future Good. That organization helped us on that journey. But I'm saying that we as a people on the island, we need to step up and step out. Stop saying that, oh God, he just going he a part of the political organization. Or no, he is a big man in so and so. Or this woman here who she having sex with this little boy. No, she is this boy mother who have so and so. No, let me stop it. Because predators could be anybody. I have charged the pastors. I have charged, you name it, anybody could be a predator. We have to be able to protect our kids. And Trinidad and Tobago, I'm saying it again, we have to take a radical approach in voicing, being that voice for our children. This is what we have to do. We have to protect them at any cost.
And you know what I'm happy about? I'm happy that you're a police officer, and you know, as we say on the ground, you're not playing, and I am happy for this. The thing, as you said, Trinidad and Tobago we need to, I guess it's part of our third world mentality and status that people in certain positions cannot be shamed or will not be shamed and publicly named and charged and hauled before the courts. It don't care who you are. We have not reached to that yet. We continue to shield and protect, and worse yet, you have to live with a predator who violated you and seeing him or her on TV, or getting, as we say, big up in society, knowing that this person violated you. So go ahead.
What I would say is that we are a harsh society. We like to judge. A child comes in and she does, she for a man.
Yes.
What she come here for? When you bring this child here for? This child taking man long time. We like to judge. We are judgmental society, and we need to stop. We need to stop that. We need to stop. I don't know how we're doing it, but we have to do it.
We need to stop punishing the victims and start punishing the abusers and the perpetrators in the society, because the victims are the ones who really have, it's a kind of double trauma, because the trauma of the actual abuse of violence plus the stigma that comes from the society on a whole, who doesn't recognize the trauma that you've been through.
Be too judgmental. And
you
this
see,
is why.
And the police ended up having to deal with that as well. From my experience, when those children came in child protection, and they came in, sometimes the child saying, "Don't tell my mommy, eh? But please walk up on there. If my mommy here, she go go home and beat me." And at that point, the officer had to step in the middle there now, and start to make some decisions at that point. I am not saying things that somebody telling me. I'm not on this platform this morning to discuss the TTPS, because I don't have permission to discuss anything on the TTPS. But from my experiences as a police officer, we already have a lot. We do all that we can and more.
Yes.
We do it.
Yes.
It is time for our parents, the parents and guardians of these children, to do what the neighbor. I heard of a story the other day where it's a people in a whole neighborhood, and somebody beating up a child, and everybody in their house sit down comfortable. Just sit in their house comfortable.
Peep through the window and then whisper and send each other a message.
How can that be? I do not care. You call, let the police or whoever say, "Oh God, if I say, guy's all right." Because that fastness can help you save a child's life.
Of course.
Women, it's the same thing with women. Licks. But you just there, boy, hey, that is them business here. And you go on your merry way, do what you have to do. Nobody ain't saying to sit down in the middle and hear what this one saying and hear what that one saying. But we as citizens, we have a duty of care to respond. Let's respond. Let's be one another's keeper. Let's be our brother's keeper.
Thank you very much, Cavelle. Stay right there. Let's go to F and G, because being a member of the Protective Service, especially now in Trinidad and Tobago, it is not easy. And we continue to extend our support to all arms of the Protective Service. We have his picture up there now. He is Prison Officer 2298, Trevor Serrett. He was murdered last week. And we extend on our behalf to the condolences to the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service.
And of course his family.
Thank you for your service, Trevor. And who knows what happened, what caused your demise as of so many prison officers in the past. Also to police officers, some of you would have lost your colleagues again this week to COVID, and we extend our condolences. And look at this picture here, folks. Cavelle, I don't know if you've seen this. I took this picture in our hardware yesterday. Now, we're supposed to be standing 6 feet away from each other, right? Look at this. And Christmas, it gets crazy in these hardwares.
Yes.
In all hardware stores. Look at this.
The only thing about this picture that it could have been taken at any time, but the only reason we know it's 2021 is because they're wearing masks.
Yeah. And the red on the floor? The people at in the hardware, they put stickers on the floor so that we could
gauge.
Everybody
'Cause
could
not
know.
everybody can know how far 6
No.
feet is, right?
Everybody want to serve one time. Everyone want to be served one time, so they shoulder to shoulder by the counter.
Yep.
So once this variant hits here, this new variant hits here, our numbers are going to spike double or triple again. People, we begging you all.
What was with any sanitization protocols in here?
Yeah, but people passing the street and come inside.
Okay. And did you notice while you were here, anybody wipe down the counters that everybody's leaning on?
Nope. Everybody coming leaning up on the counter and, just getting the service and then you have 2 counter attendants. So, is everybody bawling at everybody
Right.
but this is wrong, people. This is wrong. We wrong again. And you're hearing the figures and the number, hearing how the numbers climbing, but yet we still doing this. What is wrong with Trinidad and Tobago? What is wrong with us? That child sexual abuse, domestic violence, murders, we just can't. What we getting right? What? Look at this. You're hearing the health officials and Prime Minister, everybody pleading with us to be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Look at senior citizens, adults in a hardware store yesterday. Look at them. Look at them. So it's an uphill task here. And while at this, I want to also the issue of Dr. Miriam Abdul Richards being appointed to the board of Angostura.
Yes. Come back to us short, man. I want God to look into the camera for this one.
Yes, and Cavelle Stadium, we're going to take some calls for you in a couple of minutes. But I want Trinidad and Tobago to understand this. Dr. Abdul Richards was appointed, that was big news. Right? He was appointed to the board of Angostura. Some of you, we heard your comments on it, but we seeing it from another angle. Not that we condoning alcohol abuse, because you know how many times we have tried in Trinidad here on our Dependency to get Angostura to do what NLCB did.
Mm-hmm.
You all would see NLCB ads running on television now because they offer a hotline for problem gamblers. It seems as though only Giselle Aron West had that human touch in her to understand, yes, Angostura need to be a responsible corporate entity by not only selling the drug, but warning people as well. So while she was there, we had the opportunity to do some PSAs and play here on our Dependency, using I-95 staff to record some short PSAs. Only one Angostura didn't want us play, the one where we want pregnant women not to drink. Somehow they had a problem with that PSA. But we went on to play it still, because I think pregnant women are the people you're supposed to warn the most.
Correct.
That they can't drink.
Correct.
But Dr. Abdul Richards was appointed on the board. Now, what Dr. Abdul Richards can do for Trinidad and Tobago is take her expertise to them and let them know that her in her profession can dictate now that Angostura be a little more responsible. And instead of advertise, because we flooded with alcohol advertisements on radio and TV now, flooded.
And it's Christmas time.
And it's Christmas time, so so all you're having at time.
Yeah.
The bars are open, over full. Bar owners saying it's not them responsible, but close today and see if anybody will come. So it's all responsible.
Correct.
But Dr. Abdul Richards now has the opportunity, and I'm putting out this out there publicly, to encourage now Angostura to do a little more public outreach, even contributing to rehab centers through NGOs, because the rehab center wouldn't take the money directly from you. But if you pass it through NGOs, we send it to the Angostura, to the rehab centers, because we have alcoholics checking into rehab facilities.
Yes, because it is a substance a substance of abuse.
Yes.
For which people need treatment.
That's right. And you're free to sell it because it's legal, but you're not absolved of the responsibility, because the road deaths, there are more deaths from alcohol than marijuana. That's worldwide statistics, right? More deaths, more abuse. You heard Cavelle a while ago. She's just one of the hundreds of stories we would have gotten here about alcoholics abusing their families. So it is the product that you're selling. You could pretty it up how much you want. Put
Drink
ribbon on it.
responsibly does not go far enough.
Drink responsibly. You know, like as here, a colleague they say if you want to drink and drink water, an alcoholic here and that will just laugh at you.
And also, just this proviso, we know that there are people who can consume alcohol responsibly and not become addicted and not cause any problems in their lives. However, it is a drug, and there are many people in Trinidad and Tobago and across the world who cannot consume alcohol responsibly, and they also, pass over their money and purchase this product, which is legal. So who is going to protect them and their families?
Let's take some calls from Ms. Mills. 622-3937. 622-3937. You can ask her a question. You can congratulate her on her recovery, on her survival.
If you have any questions about the Choice Foundation,
if you have any questions about Choice Foundation, especially in Tobago, because we know Tobago, you need this, so 622-3937. Cavelle, why is it you think in Tobago there's so much denial about these issues?
It's just the culture.
The culture.
It's a culture thing. I've grown up seeing that, so that's what I see. That's what I know. It's a cultural thing. Nobody wants to say anything. I tell you, it's a shame. I tell you, when sometimes a victim comes to you, somebody come and say, well, this happened to my daughter. Now you're coming to report it. Why are you coming to report it now? Well, this girl shame me, this girl shame me. And you studying, the girl shame you. More than you studying, this girl is probably going through something that you don't even know.
Correct.
622-3937. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good
yes,
morning.
We're hearing you.
Good morning. Not hearing you at all. Garth and Natasha, Shortman, and the lady there, and I think there were one other lady.
No,
it's just Cavelle on the line.
She's the lady who gave all the testimonies.
Yes.
Okay, right. So, good morning to you, Madam Officer.
Good morning.
And
good morning.
I am here listening, Garth and Natasha. I listened it from the beginning. Garth and Natasha, I know of domestic abuse in a home because as a child I grew up in a home of domestic abuse, and it was very, very traumatic. And this lady, she experienced it, but I saw it as a child. And Garth and Natasha, I remember every single detail. And you know what it did? It hampered me in my schoolwork. I was bright in school, especially secondary school. And because of that, many times my schoolmates would see my head on the desk, and they would feel I'm studying. I wasn't studying. I had a book on my lap. I was crying. You know what I was crying for? Wondering if Mommy is home getting licks. Garth and Natasha, it affected me tremendously. And I had a baby, my only child, at the age of 19. But we were churchgoers, and her father was also a church, going to church. So, seeking love, sometimes it's seeking love, and I just happened to get pregnant. And, things like these happen. It happened because children, they are hurting. Sometimes they have nowhere to vent. And you would show it in different ways as a lady. So when she went to school, and she was attempting suicide. So it is widespread. It is very, very widespread. And I hope that more people would speak out. So thanks for the program this morning. And Officer, thank you very much for being brave.
Thank you very much.
And I wish you all the best. Thanks, Garth and Natasha and Shortman.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Cameron,
and how are your children, Cavelle? How are they now?
I sat and I had conversation with my girls. The eldest one would have been somewhere in 4th or 5th form. I spoke with them when they were old enough to understand. Right? My daughter, my eldest daughter, is a doctor in the States. I don't even know if she listens to the program today, but I know she listens to, I did a program before with my pastor, so she listened to that one. But they have given, and my other daughter lives in Tobago, but they give me the support. My youngest daughter assists me in my organization. she and her friends would come and they would assist when we had programs and stuff. They would come in and they would really give me a good pull out.
Right.
So so they are supporting me in this area. I was a bit frightened there, but
I'm
Nah, you did well, man.
no, they haven't judged me. I'm telling you, that would have crashed me right down.
Right.
My children, same thing, but they were fine.
622-3937, 622-3937. We have Cavelle Mills on the line. And folks, remember next weekend too, the St. James Police Youth Club have their breakfast queue, so go out and support them. Go out and support the youths. They have that at the Police Youth Club on Sierra Leone Road. And once again, we offer that congratulations to Dr. Abdul Richards, but again, we hope that you could take your expertise to Angostura and get them to advertise, do more PSAs, do more outreach, and
support drug treatment facilities.
And support drug treatment facilities.
For alcoholics.
Yes. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Oh, yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Garth and Mr.
Could you speak up a little bit?
The name of the lady there.
Yes.
Miss Mills.
Not Cavelle. I know Cavelle well, but she may not know me or remember me because we are related.
Okay.
And I know everything she said there is the truth.
Right.
Yes, she's a very beautiful person, very kind-hearted and things like that, from what I know about her, all right, and so on. And it really saddened me that she told that I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know. I saw her on television the other day on one of her programs, and I didn't see her wedding ring, so I was saying, I wonder if Cavelle and her husband are going together and things like that. But then I never even knew that, she was divorced like me. I had to end up divorcing my husband also because exactly what she's saying is what I've been through. And then I went not to be able to stay well near to my relatives and things like that because I was married and living in Trinidad. And I went through hell with the same thinking and beating. But I decided I did not grow up in a home. My father never even cursed my mother. He never even yelled at her. Nothing. You understand? He never hit any of his children. I don't need this to grow up and get licks. Me and my brothers and sisters, we never. Our mother used to spank us again. And she would sit us down and things like that. But he was a man of few words. But he was a very good father and a good husband. And when I got married through out of shame because I had my first child and I never knew that her father was a married man until I was 7 months pregnant. So that hurt me. First love, It hurt me very deeply and I didn't know what to do. Well, I made my child, and thank God for that. And then after about 4 years, I met this other guy, and, not deeply in love like how I was with my first child's father, but I got married to him after the birth of my son. And after that, I realized that I made a silly mistake, because I was ashamed. I didn't want anyone from the village to say to me that, oh, look at her. She gets married. She has 2 children and she has not been married. The first child she made is a married man. Because these are the things that the Ligonians do. So they're nasty when they're ready, very nasty,
Yes.
and things like that. And I got married, okay, like I said before, wasn't deeply in love, but I believe I had loved enough to have gotten married and things like that. But when the drinking started, oh boy. Oh boy. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But Cavelle, you didn't fight back, but your cousin fought back. Because the first time that man hit me, he slapped me on my left jaw. My whole jaw came out of place.
Oh, wow.
and he started running me down with a cutlass. So when I was running behind, and every time he's always drunk, and when I ran behind the neighbor's house, I don't have anybody in Trinidad to run to, a stranger down there. And when I ran behind the house that he was drinking with his friends, I saw some bottles, the same white oak and stag, and I took up 3. And when I was going up on the incline, he behind me with the cutlass. And I say, a drunken man has no knowledge or any kind of sympathy. You understand? So I stood up. I said, I'm not going to run anymore. And I aimed. And I let go the stag bottle. And it hit him straight on his head. He fell to the ground and he started bleeding. I ran to the station because I wasn't far from the station. So I ran to the station and I told them, I said, I just killed my husband. And one of his friends said, nah, man, you killed the Gringo? I said, I don't know if he's Gringo or Pengo. I said, but I feel I killed him, so you all come. But when they came, they were not dead, thank God. My son was just 2 years old. And when my son saw these things, when he started going to school, well, the beating, when I say the beating, okay, you hit me. But when he's hitting me to kill me. You understand? So I have to defend myself because I have my 2 children to live for. Right? And things like that. So I have to defend myself. So when he keep on doing all these things, the next time he hit me again, I went to Canada and I came back home. I went and work and I came back home. And when I came back home, I was to leave the Monday again to go after 3 months at home. I was to leave the next Monday after the 3 months to go back to work. And this on my birthday, he hit me a slap a Saturday and always hitting me in my face. And then I sent him, ran through the door, and I sent him through the door with I don't want to sound too violent, but I'm just telling you the truth what I did. Right? So I took up the days that I had there and I sent it through the door. And it tapped the door break and the glass took away a part of his ribs. So he said, every time I hit you and you retaliate, you're making me bleed. I said, well, that is to tell you, don't hit me. You're not my father. Don't hit me. Right? Well, that go on until my son started staying in school. He's not learning anything anymore. And that is the sad part. Because he was very, very brilliant. That little boy would read. Just read this thing, and he closed the book, and he repeats everything, no care how long it is.
And Sister Anriona, thank you. Could you get in touch with Cavelle and send us your number, please? We'd like to have a conversation with you. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Please, thank you very much for sharing that with us. But we'd like to speak with you some more, all right?
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank
Stay
you so
strong.
much for
You're a
listening.
survivor too. Thank you for listening and thank you for your
So
contribution.
the reason why tears are coming now too is because of the damage it did to my son.
Yes.
Right? I took him to 3 specialists, and he stopped learning. The specialist said the reason why he stopped learning is because he keeps thinking about his mother.
Yes,
and
we
if
will.
he would go home and meet her, and that is what my husband did to my son. Thank you for
Before you go, take this number. Take this number. This is Cavelle's number. Yes, please.
Yes, please. Gosh, I get it choked up to myself. But again, people have to understand this is the science behind all of this. I saw that too growing up. What her son saw, and I wanted to run away from it, and I ran away from home. To get away from that, I joined the military, but I went with baggage.
Yeah, I got one.
Yes, ma'am. Take this number 372
372
1017.
Call me at about 1 o'clock. About
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
after Natasha or
God bless you, sister.
This is Cavelle's number. So you
Oh,
call her around 1
right,
o'clock,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
bye-bye.
Thank you, love. Thank you.
Wow. This is the depth of pain that this lady and so many others are going through right now.
Exactly, and it's not out. They didn't get it out. They did not get it
622
out.
6223937.
Call.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
And morning, Natasha.
Yes,
Morning.
I was listening to the lady there just now. Well, the first lady had, but I can't remember her name
Cavelle,
because
yes.
right now I have a problem going on by me. Right now, my two daughters gone in the station, over police station, and it's a domestic violence kind of a problem, but it's not from a daughter. It's from a great niece. And you see young people, some of them, when you're talking, they don't listen. So this problem right now is coming big. So I was trying to listen to the lady and all what she was talking about, but I had to move away to deal with something. But I, as a young girl, it started with me, and, well, they know nothing about it. I just telling you that they know. It started with me, and then I left home, and then I got children's father, and it started back there. So I know I cannot really talk and say anything now, but I just listen to part of the lady, and my heart just feels. And I believe a lot of females went through some of this, even part of it. But, you know, as the lady says, shame, nobody want to come and talk.
Yeah.
But I just feel I must just call because I just feel what she was saying. So, Garth
Sister.
and Natasha,
Mhm.
I just have a good day. I just called to say that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. I hope it works out with you.
Yes,
And
and probably you could give us a call too if you need to speak, right? 756-6337.
Just no, let me just, oh God.
Cavelle, you see, so girl, you taught some live this morning and you're getting people to come out.
That was the intention. We need to stand up as women. We need to start to talk out.
Caller?
Just now. Just
Yes.
2 seconds. Let me just get the pen.
Yes, Cavelle.
Yes, we really need to start to stand up and talk out. Pain is not for us anymore. Let the pain go.
Yes. Correct.
Yes, God.
756
756.
6337.
Got the pen. 756 6337.
6337.
37.
Yes, 6337.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. 622-3937. Good morning. Cavelle, yes. Before we take that call, Cavelle, you have any in Trinidad here? Where would you advise people to
reach out for help?
For domestic violence?
Yes.
Onika Mars, woman of substance. I know she operates in Tobago, and I know she operates in Trinidad as well.
Okay.
I think you have Onika's number 4859534.
Yes. Yep.
I know Onika very well, so I know she is going to, whatever she says she's going to do, she will do it. So Onika Mars, woman of substance.
Right.
All right. Any parting comments from you this morning?
Before I close off, I just want to say this. Me coming this morning to this platform to share my experiences with the world is not for likes. It's not to tell people my business. It's not to get fame. It's not to get recognition of friends. all of which I could do without. I came on this platform this morning to share my experiences so that other persons who are experiencing situations of this manner would know that yes, but she's a police, but she going ahead, she life normal, and she went through that. And look, there is help, there is hope. Just reach out. I'm begging this morning and pleading. Let us as women reach out, open your mouth and speak, talk about it. There are agencies that are going to help. There are agencies that are there. I can vouch safely for women of substance with my eyes closed. Reach out. You are going to get help. Every one of us have a gift. Let our gifts come out. Let's shine with your gift. But we can't shine with the gift if we have all that kind of baggage and weight. Let's be an advocate. Let's be that voice of children who crying out and bawling out and screaming out and want us to stand up for them. Let's be that voice. Trinidad and Tobago, let's be a more calmer, loving society. Let's stop the ridicule and judging. Everybody's story and situation is different.
Yes.
Let's learn to respect each other, love each other, be each other's keeper. My number, Garth, you have my number. You can share. Anyone wants to reach out to me can message me as well on the Choice Foundation TT page. Once you send a message, I'm going to get it in almost immediately.
And Cavelle, you could also check our Dependency Facebook page for the comments here and questions that you could answer after the program. You could visit our page and you could probably have a chat with the people there too and respond to some of the questions and comments.
I will certainly do.
Thanks a lot, my dear.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for your time.
You are very welcome. You are welcome.
God bless you. Stay strong. And of course, as a police officer, to thank you for your service.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, before we go, I just want to share some of the resources that are available to you. The domestic violence hotline, 800-SAVE-7283. Childline, which is 800-4321. The Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 624-0402. 627-6844. Families in Action Hotline, 628-2333. And the Family Planning Association Domestic Violence Hotline, 733-6703. I'll put all of these in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. Be safe, everybody, please.
And before we go, I want to say to the head of the Equal Opportunities Commission, is that what they call it, right? The one who is equal.
The tribunal.
The tribunal, right.
Yes. Yes.
I want you to not be part of the killing that's going on in Trinidad and Tobago, because you all wanted to kill somebody with no arms when we should have elevated that person and let the world see that we are a developing country. There are killings going on the streets, and there are killings going on off the streets with people who have the power to kill other people's dreams and upward mobility. I ran into a few of them, but I decided I'm not going to get killed. You shoot me, and I'm going to keep going. So, please, I want to congratulate Ms. Bajan. Bajan is her name?
Yes,
right?
Bajan, yes.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the most Indian comments I've ever heard, who's going to help her leave the building?
Yeah.
The woman has legs, and she can see and she can speak, and she's brilliant. We have someone who achieved all of that with no arms, but yet we tried to kill her, as we like to do in Trinidad and Tobago here. It's so sad. Stop the killing. As we appeal to the young people, stop killing out each other. We appeal to the technocrats and people who could let people live and push them up. Stop killing them now, or stop trying to. Don't make sense. Just love each other now. Let's try Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know why that's so hard. Cameron, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
As usual.
Yeah.
Man. Mr.
man.
Hinkson, Short Man
Mr.
Boris, thank you very much too for your time, for your work. All you folks on our Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel, God bless you. Thank you for your support. and of course Natasha. And remember, next episode, God folks, we're going to 20 years of our independency. I have lots coming for you. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for major news up at 12. Take care.
This is reality radio at its best. Eye on Dependency on